After being the team that blew it in the first two games, the Colorado Rockies are the ones that pull off the victory. A solid win for the Purple Pinstripes. But my biggest concern after this game, what are the Rockies going to do about Senzatella?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 12th day of June, or I should say 13th day of June in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk, hoping that our sound is a little bit better today. I know we were a little bit sounding like we were, one viewer said I was in the sewer yesterday, I think. But you know what? That's all right. It's how it goes sometimes when the gear betrays you. But things are looking good on my end. So hopefully we're going to bring you not only a great podcast, a great sounding podcast, but a podcast with some good vibes today. Because, hey, it did not look good for the Rockies as they were facing a sweep in what would have turned out to be, and still really is, one of the more frustrating series of the season for the Rockies when you consider the fact that the Rockies were in every single one of these ball games and had a chance to get themselves in a position for, again, it's hard to say they should have swept the Giants, but they had themselves in the best positions. They had a great offensive series there, even in two losses there, and the finale. They finally come up big. Everything comes up with in clutch moments that they need, and the Rockies are able to be the ones that come up with the late inning heroics, and I believe get their first walk-off win of the season. But my biggest concern, my main worry about the Rockies here is the warning signs continue to blare about Antonio Senzatella. We'll talk about that and more all on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But first, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And, of course, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. We really appreciate it. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Thank you so much for everyone that checks out the show on YouTube and fires off some questions. We got some questions here, and we'll dive into them. If you have some questions, if you have stuff that's on your mind when it comes to the Rockies, let me know in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Best way to interact with the show. So, all right, we are breaking down the fact that the Rockies are the ones that pull off what the Giants were doing to them all series long. And again, it comes up with the Rockies, a double-digit hit game for the Rockies, and also putting up some big numbers there, being good in the final four innings. The Rockies score in 3 out of the 4 final innings. Not only that, they score 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, and then the big 3 spot in the bottom of the 9th. And it was a complete team effort, especially when you look at the fact that the Rockies go down 4 early in this ball game. Then they cut the lead in half. What happens? Mammoth home run, and the Rockies are now down 7-2, looking like a classic situation of this year where that's just too much for this Rockies offense to handle. But instead, the Rockies are able to stick with it the entire time, even with some big names out of the lineup in this one. Tyler Freeman and Hunter Goodman. I know Tyler Freeman and Hunter Goodman. Hunter Goodman's a big name for this year, the Rockies, but Tyler Freeman not so much. But Freeman's certainly been successful in his time in purple so far here. But it was a game without some of the offensive names, and it came down to the vets that the Rockies signed having big moments. Both Thairo Estrada and Orlando Arcia coming up big for the Rockies in the finale, backing up a tough start for Antonio Senzatella, because Senza continues to show signs of really being in a very difficult position. I just don't know how much confidence you can truly have with Antonio Senzatella, given the way he's pitched this year, given the environment you found yourself in, given your strength of schedule. There is a lot of worry signs about Antonio Senzatella. But before we get to the stuff that was a worry, let's talk about the fact that the Rockies were able to come up big in big moments here. One of the things I really liked about the Rockies in this game was the walks. I mean, they were in a situation where they were facing a very good Giants. I guess he's not technically the closer, I guess, because they have a few options there. But Randy Rodriguez entered this bottom of the ninth with a sub-1 ERA with only I think 3 walks on the season, and the Rockies are able to get 2 walks out of him, and then are able to drive in and get the necessary runs there that they needed. A little bit of luck as well, but they draw 6 total walks in this ball game. Still strike out 8 times, but that's a good way to negate those strikeouts a little bit. Take the free passes when they're given to you. And what do we say time and time again, especially at Coors Field? Walks will haunt. And that's exactly what happened to the Giants there in the finale of this game, mixed in with the fact that the Rockies got performance from just about everybody in the lineup there. You look and you say, hey, Sam Hilliard, 2 spot, not getting hit, but 2 big walks for him in that situation. Thairo Estrada gets the revenge game that he was hoping for with 2 big RBIs. Brenton Doyle able to get a base knock and an RBI there. Mickey Moniak, a couple of hits as well. And Orlando Arcia, Ryan Ritter, all getting there. I mean, I think everybody in the starting lineup for the Rockies outside of McMahon, Hilliard, and Braxton Fulford got hits. But the good news about McMahon and Hilliard is both of them drawing 2 big walks. I mean, hey, it doesn't get on base and that'll help. I mean, that's a massive thing, because what's on the opposite side of the coin is the Rockies themselves are able to navigate giving up 7 walks in the ball game, matching going 1 more than the Giants in this one. When on paper here, this was not the game the Rockies should have won in this series. I mean, you look at the first 2 in this series, and you start to be at a position where you're kind of looking at everything being the other games being the moments where, man, things look like they might be clicking for this team a little bit, and then it all falls apart in this big moments. But then the Rockies down 5. And I'll be honest, I counted them out. I sat there and said that's way too much. But it's a solid performance to see these guys bounce back and are able to do what they needed to do in this series here to fight off another sweep. The Rockies were facing their 11th sweep of the season so far, and against a team that has dominated them. And in a series, you have to sit there and say, hey, the results shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't look like this for the Colorado Rockies. And it's one of those situations where you say, man, how is it going to go wrong this time? And then for that game to start, for the Rockies to go and go through what they did and have it start like that, it just was like I think it's a way to overhype this win, because yes, it's again only win number 13, and a game that overall that they wasn't the sharpest in all the areas, but for them to win this one, that's a good sign. It's a sign that hey, it wasn't the perfect game, but the Rockies were able to be the ones that come up big and come up clutch and do what they need to do. So we feel good about that. We feel encouraged by that. It's something that is a total bonus. And it kind of, I feel like the bigger picture type of thing from this is it might be a boost of confidence here, because the one thing that's interesting about the Rockies going on the road here is Rockies going to Atlanta. You totally doubt it. And you still do, right? The Rockies won't be favored in any of these games. 1 win doesn't fix anything. And it still stings the way this series went. But if you're able to carry on some of this momentum, if you're able to carry on the fact that this was arguably one of the best stretches of offense for the Rockies this entire season, even with losing 2 out of those 3 games, the Rockies now for 4 straight games have scored over 5 5+ runs. 5 runs against the Mets in the finale, 5 runs in the first game against the Giants, 7 runs in game 2, and then 8 runs in the finale. The Rockies haven't put a stretch together like that of offense in really this entire season when you're talking about consistently putting up the runs. Now, it's on the road. It's doing something. They got to transfer it. But it's against a Braves team that isn't as good as we thought. But mixed in with that, as we said, with every team that the Rockies are facing this year, These are get right series for every team. Every team that has an opportunity to go up against the Rockies are going to look at it as a get right series. But if the Rockies can continue to carry this momentum a little bit more, continue to carry this momentum forward on scoring runs and being and getting more done on offense, they're going to be putting themselves in situations to win ball games. And yes, they didn't get the job done, but in all three of the ball games, they gave themselves a chance to win. Didn't always capitalize. Were able to capitalize in the finale. Let's see if they can keep it rolling as they go on into this weekend series against Atlanta. All right, let's take a break and let's highlight my big concern, my big worry here after this series and after this game, and it's Antonio Senzatella. We'll do that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. Yes, I know it's a ritual. It's the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. You can't even get out the door without it. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, and boy, do I know about pour over purists from some of my roommates in the past. They've got a roast that you'll love. You can take the Trade quiz, and it's just super short, super simple, but that way you can get paired with the right type of coffee. And the first bag they send you, it's going to be spot on because you took that quiz. They're going to pair you up with the right bag of coffee for your preferences, and it's going to smell fresh, amazing, and it puts those grocery store coffees to bed. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off. 50% off your 1-month trial. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. A rare Rockies win, a celebratory podcast today as we're looking at a series that, man, again, of all those frustrations aside, and it's a weird way to phrase it when you're talking about a series loss, but, on paper, one of the best series the Rockies have played this season. I mean, obviously, you look at the Marlins series where they sweep. That's a good thing. You look at other series where things might have happened. But this was, again, good offense. They had good offensive performance from some pitchers and in some instances, not always, of course, with the blown saves at the end. But there were elements here as the Rockies continue to try to grow off of playing a more competitive baseball, being a team that, yes, they're losing, but they're losing the close games, making and competitive games, as if that makes the pill of this tough season any easier to swallow. But my main concern here, and my main my big red flag here is there's an Antonio Senzatella concern, and it's a massive Antonio Senzatella concern here. He is simply allowing way too much. I mean, he is just on a crazy trajectory and a crazy pace here when we're talking about runs and hits allowed here. When we're looking at, it's interesting they haven't updated it, but before this game here, the Rockies had lost the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that Senzatella pitched up until this game. My main concern here is that Senzatella is losing a bit of that control. He's walking batters during this time. We know he's not a big strikeout guy. Teams are hitting him and hitting him hard, hitting him very, very hard. In this finale here against the Giants, Senzatella gets tagged for, let me see here. I clicked on the wrong one. Just got to make sure I get the right stats going here. Senzatella in 4 innings pitched allows 9 hits, 7 earned, 3 walks, and only 2 strikeouts. And good thing for the Rockies bullpen coming in here again in a situation where the Rockies needed to turn to their bullpen. Herget, Mejia, and Seth Halverson all able to get the jobs done, and combined a total 3 goose eggs for all of them over the, 3, 4, 5 innings pitched. Yeah, 5 innings pitched for them. Still walks, some issues there, but both Herget and Mejia getting 3 strikeouts apiece. Halverson getting a strikeout as well. And only through those 3 pitchers, only allowing 2 hits in that time. Got to clean up those walks a little bit there. But when you go and you look at the season for Senzatella here, and he has allowed at least 4 earned runs. And I think my math was a little off earlier when I tweeted this, but he's allowed at least 4 earned runs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now 10 starts. He has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's had 14 starts. So yeah, my math actually was right. 10 out of the 14 starts for Antonio Senzatella this year, it's been at least 4 earned runs at this time, and he continues to skyrocket not only in ERA, but in opponent batting average against him. I believe teams are now hitting nearly 300 against him, and his whip sits at over 2 right now. I mean, plain and simple, it's just unacceptable. This is not sustainable for the Rockies. This is just not a pitcher that's going to fit in with what you need him to do. And obviously you have the extension, you have all this stuff, but you have to make a real sit down look, as now we got the news today that Austin Gomber is returning to the Rockies on Sunday. So there needs to be a decision made here. You need to, of course, keep your rotation going, but there's a big Senzatella problem. There hasn't been enough improvement, and there hasn't been enough in his career here, even and obviously dealing with the injuries. But the warning signs continue to blare. This is not work. It isn't going to work. It is just too far and too in between, and teams are doing way too much damage to him to make him someone that you can confidently count on for the Rockies this year. It's just in a situation where he's had to be backed up by other members of the team. And there have been moments he hasn't given up a lot of earned runs, but Senza's only made it to the 4th, and he's made it predominantly to the 4th inning and some change. He has made it past the 4th inning in his 14 starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. In 5 out of his 14, in only 5 out of his 14 starts, has he made it out of the 4th inning. And for a starting pitcher, even in this day and age, even with this in this version of starting pitching, that's unacceptable. You cannot sit here and allow that to be the standard for the Rockies. You have to make a decision there. And sure, it's going to take some of these guys getting healthy and turning to some of these guys. But now that you have Chase Dollander, now that you've seen a little bit from Carson Palmquist here, you need to make the call about Antonio Senzatella. Because what if you're willing to move on from one of your veterans in Jacob Stallings, and it's totally different money wise. I understand that, especially when you look at how much money the Rockies are actually paying Antonio Senzatella this year. It needs to be, especially, I mean, he's got multiple years actually. So really, what can you do with Antonio Senzatella? He's not a free agent until 2028. The Rockies don't have a club option until after next season. And that just ain't going to work. There is, out of all of the pitchers the Rockies can bring up there, I think I will remain the least confident in Antonio Senzatella. What he's doing and his performance just does not match what the Rockies need whatsoever. And that's a lot of commitment, and it's a lot of money. I don't know what you can do there. I mean, you might have to just keep rolling with it and keep rocking through it. I don't know, but man, that's a tough one. That's a misstep there. Hey, he's been part of 3 of the Rockies' wins. So when you look at that overall, it's a different. That context certainly helps a little bit, but my confidence is wavering in Antonio Senzatella. All right, let's take a break and let's wrap things up here as we look ahead for the Rockies playing the Braves and just kind of bask a little bit in a Rockies win, a rarity here in 2025. We'll do that coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. And boy, oh boy, is it a great time to get involved with FanDuel, because we got NBA playoffs, we got NHL playoffs. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. As we just started recording, the Oilers just tied up the Stanley Cup final. We got bangers going on with both of the NBA finals and the Stanley Cup. So why not get in on all the can't-miss moments and major momentum shifts in game-winning shots, breakout players, and all the action at FanDuel. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Are you going to take the Thunder to bounce back? They don't lose back-to-back games very often. Are they going to get back on track after blowing a late one there, or are the Pacers going to do it? You can do a little money line. Maybe you want to get in on those player props and build a single game parlay. You got the read on who's heating up. Why not go chase after it? Get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. Yes, that's right, $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits when you're new to FanDuel. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Segment number 3 here of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for rocking and rolling with us on today's episode. We are hanging out here and enjoying a nice Rockies win. Man, and how about that ninth inning? How about everything coming up Rockies? How about finally the pieces starting to go the Rockies' way in that? But one of the things that we would like to see from a game like this, from a series like this, is the Rockies to build on this. Where do you take it? It's so much of, we can get a win, maybe 2 in a row, but how do you start building off of that and now go out and capitalize against a Braves team that has been struggling, even though it's a road series, a very difficult thing for you to do. The important thing to keep working on and keep fighting through with this season is, how do you get yourself out of this rut? And you got to start pacing, putting things back together. Again, often as the Rockies have done, it took the Rockies 5 games to a 5-game losing streak to get a win. They keep going on these long losing streaks after putting together a win, or getting the one small winning streak against the Marlins, and then it's 5 in a row. You have to start putting things together in back-to-back moments there. And it's going to start with the guy that's looking to continue to build on some solid starts and get himself in a position to start doing some more help, contribute a little bit more, and Germán Marquez. And when you look at Bryce Elder here for the Braves in this zone, not necessarily blowing you away with a lot of stuff here. Road Rockies, obviously a big problem, a big factor in this, but it's a 4.08 ERA, a whip of 1.17. It's, in 57 innings pitched, 49 strikeouts, so certainly still a factor. But one thing we talked about with the Giants, a good pitching staff there. Walks are a possibility here. 16 walks in 57 innings pitched, so there's certainly a factor. And he's allowed 9 home runs. So if the Rockies are able to continue to have a nice disciplined approach at the dish, able to do what they can do and keep driving in runs like they did in the series, that's a great sign. It's an even bigger sign since they're doing it on the road. A massive, massive thing. That, remember, the Miami sweep happened in Miami. So the Rockies have been able to in that their most recent road series were successful. It's a small thing and it's small progress, but that's what you got to hope for. Just stealing a win here and surviving the series isn't enough. You got to make sure that you're able to build off of this. This is what we want to start seeing, is building off of this. And again, man, just a nice day for the Rockies. I think that keep this momentum, keep the good vibes going from that walk-off win. Hopefully that taking one of those wins, it's I hope helps on the mental side a lot, because it makes you feel a little bit better about that series. You can kind of feel a little bit more justified in saying we were in those games. We had those games. It just a couple of moments, a couple of things got away from us because you pulled off this win. And you were able to do it in that way after being down as much as 5 in this ballgame. Mickey Moniak with the solo bomb. He's had some big stuff. Estrada able to get that huge double there late in the game. And even here with Bretton Doyle putting the ball in play, hitting it right into Matt Chapman's to gut there, just all what you needed. Things went the right way for the Rockies there in this one. It's just now how do you go from here? How do you build off of that? How do you start putting the pieces together and making it so that it isn't just a one-off? That's the next step for the Rockies. It's continuing to minimize the damage of these losing streaks. Again, it was a long losing streak. It was 5, but 5 is better than 8. You shorten the gap in between your wins. You just got to make sure that you're avoiding those horrendous stretches. If you lose the series, okay, that's one thing. Just don't get swept. The Rockies were facing their 11th sweep of the season here in this one, and instead, you steal one, and it softens the blow just a little bit. It's important to see what's next. That's kind of my main takeaway here. Awesome stuff here. Can they build off of it? Can they grab some momentum against the team that, again, on paper is supposed to be better than them, but a Braves team that's 29-38, they're 17-14 at home. It's not like that it's a super dominant home field advantage or anything like that. When you're looking at some of the leaders on this team here, Hunter Goodman's kind of competed with a lot of these guys, and the Rockies, looking to get themselves back into this season series. They did win the last one at the beginning of April. Rockies, we're kind of thoroughly beat in that first series. Let's just see how they can handle this one here. But it's kind of surprising to look at some of the numbers here for the Braves, a team that for the time that I've been doing this show has been pretty solid. Not like the worst numbers here, because some of this shows you that they can certainly still do damage against a team like the Rockies, a team 244 batting average, 73 home runs, team OBP of 317, a slugging of 386. Again, the big major difference here will be the Rockies transferring their offense to the road and the pitching. The team ERA of the Braves 3.73, the Rockies 5.61, a whip of 1.22, 1.58 for the Rockies there. Pretty close here. Not. I mean, you'd like to be a little bit closer, but in terms of walks, again, and what we talked about in this finale here, that could be a big factor here. 218 walks from the Braves pitching staff to 235 from the Rockies, thoroughly being dominated in the strikeout category. Again, 595 strikeouts as a team for Atlanta to the Rockies, 448. An opponent batting average 230 for the Braves, 293. Ouch for the Rockies there, but. If they can put together some good at-bats using some of their veteran guys, continuing to build confidence with some of their dudes as well, the Rockies could maybe take advantage of some of these walks, do some damage, jump out ahead, and keep that rolling. It's all about keeping things rolling. Keep the momentum after a win rolling. Get things going, and we'll see where the Rockies can go from there. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making it your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And if you need a second listen, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night, as well as all the Colorado sports coverage on the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.